Please, please don't make me go back. Arrest my stepdad before he hurts my mom again." Anna's voice cracked as she clung to the metal gate outside Crawford Tower, her tiny fingers turning white from the cold. She wasn't trying to get inside the building, she was begging the doorman himself, an older man with kind eyes and a limp from an old service injury. "Sweetheart, you can't stay out here," he said gently, lowering himself with effort. "You're freezing. Where's your mama?" "She's hurt," Anna cried, tears cutting clean lines down her dusty cheeks. He hit her again. "He's drunk and smoking and yelling," and her words tumbled out between gasps. "He said tonight he's gonna kill her." The doorman's face tightened. He'd seen desperation before 40 years in New York, ensured that, but not like this. Not on a child barely 6 years old, barefoot, shivering in a thin cotton dress. Not on a child covered in bruises. He placed a shaky hand on her shoulder, meaning to comfort her, but Anna flinched so violently he froze. "My God," he whispered. "Who did this to you?" "My stepdad," she whispered. "Please call someone. Anybody. The police won't help." At that moment, the revolving doors behind them swished open, letting out a tall, sharply dressed man adjusting the cuffs of his charcoal overcoat. Ethan Crawford, billionaire, founder of Crawford Technologies, and a man known for being precise, distant, and untouchable, was finishing a phone call. "Yes, move the meeting to tomorrow morning," he said, "and tell the board." Then he stopped. He saw Anna, her skinny legs, scraped and bruised, her arms, covered in smudged fingerprints from where someone had grabbed her too hard, the dark mark on her jaw, shaped unmistakably like a fist, the fear in her eyes raw, pleading, ancient for a child so small. Ethan's voice died. The phone slipped from his hand and hit the pavement. The doorman cleared his throat. "Mr. Crawford, this little girl." Before he could finish, Anna turned toward Ethan with a desperate, trembling gasp. "You're rich," she said, as if the word itself carried magic. "You can make him stop. I don't have nobody else." Ethan stepped closer slowly, as if approaching a wounded animal that might bolt. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. Anna," she whispered. "Anna. Who did that to you?" She swallowed, her bottom lip trembling. "My stepdad. He was smoking and drinking all day. He said my mom made him mad. He hit her with the bottle. She didn't get up for a long time." Ethan felt something sink in his chest, heavy, dark, familiar. "Why didn't you call the police?" he asked. "I did," Anna cried, voice cracking. "They said they can't come unless he hurts us again." The doorman muttered a curse under his breath. Ethan crouched to her level, eyes scanning every bruise. His throat tightened. A flash of memory cut through him, his own mother. A shaking hand, a broken plate, a locked door he couldn't open. He blinked the memory away. "Anna," he said gently, "why did you come here?" She reached into the pocket of her torn dress and pulled out a handful of wrinkled, sweat-soaked bills, 2 5s, a 1, and some coins. "I saved it," she whispered. $9. She held it out with both hands. "You can have it. Just arrest him. Make him go away." Ethan stared at the money. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. Cars honked in the distance. A wind gust whipped through the entryway. People walked past, hurrying home, not realizing the world had stopped for one man and one child. Then Anna's small flip phone rang. She answered with shaking fingers. A woman's scream echoed through the speaker. Anna's face went white. "Mom? Mom?" A man's slurred voice bellowed in the background. Something crashed. Glass shattered. Anna choked on a cry. "He's hurting her. Please, please help." She dropped the phone and collapsed to her knees. Ethan didn't hesitate. He scooped her into his arms. She was feather light, shaking uncontrollably, clutching his coat like it was the only thing keeping her alive. He looked at the doorman, eyes turning hard, deadly serious. "Get my car," Ethan said. "Now." If this story moved you, please take a moment to like the video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story. Your support helps us bring more powerful moments to life. The elevator ride down to the underground garage felt longer than usual, even though Ethan knew it lasted no more than 20 seconds. He carried Anna carefully, her tiny body trembling with each breath. Her bare feet were ice cold against his forearm. She didn't cry now. She only stared forward with a fixed, terrified focus, as if she were afraid that crying would slow them down. Maria rushed beside them, her heels clicking sharply across the marble tiles. "Ethan, we need to think this through," she whispered, keeping her voice low so she wouldn't scare the child further. "If you walk into a domestic violence scene without police authorization, I'm not leaving a 6-year-old to deal with it alone." Ethan snapped. More sharply than he intended, Maria's mouth closed immediately. Anna clung tighter to his coat, burying her face into the soft fabric like she was hiding from the world. The moment the elevator doors opened, the cold air of the underground garage rushed in. It smelled of gasoline, concrete dust, and the faint echo of the city above. Ethan scanned the area, already in motion. "Where's the driver?" he asked. "I texted him," Maria said. 2 minutes. "Too long," Ethan muttered. He shifted Anna gently so he could pull the keys from his own pocket. A sleek black Escalade sat in the reserved CEO space. It gleamed under the fluorescent lights, an absurd symbol of wealth, next to the tiny, broken child he was holding. Ethan opened the back door and carefully set her on the leather seat. The moment her skin touched the upholstery, she flinched and curled into herself. "It's okay," Ethan said softly. "You're safe now." Anna didn't answer. She pulled her knees to her chest and held her flip phone tightly, her knuckles turning white again. "Seatbelt," Ethan murmured. She didn't move. He buckled it for her, hands moving gently, as though afraid she might shatter. She stared at him with wide, dark eyes, bruised around the edges. Too knowing for her age. "You're really coming?" she whispered. "You won't leave me?" "No," Ethan said. His voice came out rougher than he expected. "I won't leave you." Maria climbed into the passenger seat just as Ethan slammed his door shut and started the engine. The Escalade roared to life. They shot out of the garage. Manhattan traffic, even in early evening, was its own kind of cruelty. But not tonight. Tonight, Ethan drove the way only a man with too much money and too much anger could drive decisively, smoothly, pushing every yellow light. Maria held onto the handle above the window, lips pursed. "Ethan," she said quietly, "I need you to hear me." He didn't look away from the road. "You're about to interfere with an active domestic incident." "Good." "No, it's not good. It's illegal." "She's 6, Maria." Silence. Then a long exhale. "I know," in the rearview mirror. Ethan watched Anna wipe her nose with the back of her hand. Her arms were covered in bruises, fresh ones, yellowing ones, fingerprints, small circular burns. He felt his chest tighten, a sensation he hadn't felt in years. Something close to fury. Something close to grief. The city outside blurred by neon signs, corner bodegas, pedestrians bundled against the winter wind. As they crossed into the Bronx, the streets grew darker, the buildings more worn, the lights more sporadic. Anna lifted her head just enough to peer out the window. "That's my park," she whispered, pointing at a small fenced lot with a broken swing. "He doesn't let me play there. He says kids who go there get stolen." Ethan's jaw flexed. "And your school?" "2 blocks down. But sometimes I stay home when he's mad. Mommy says it's safer." Maria turned in her seat, swallowing hard at the sight of Anna's face. "Honey," she said gently, "does your mom have anyone she trusts? A friend? A relative?" "No." Anna hugged her knees tighter. "It was just me and Mommy before he came. She said he was nice at first. He bought me shoes." Ethan exchanged a look with Maria. They both knew this pattern. They'd both seen it too many times in the news. Too many women who fell into the same trap because they were tired, lonely, scared, or simply wanted a better life. "Anna," Ethan said softly. "What's your stepdad's name?" She hesitated, as if the name itself carried danger. "Ray." "Ray what?" "Ray Jenkins." Maria immediately typed the name into her phone. "I'll run a public record check. If he has priors, it'll help with police later." Then she froze. "Ethan, Oh God. Ethan glanced over. What? He has a history. She turned her screen toward him. Arrests, assault and battery, narcotics possession, DUI, a restraining order filed 3 years ago by a previous girlfriend. Ethan's grip tightened on the steering wheel. How does child services miss someone like this? Maria shook her head slowly. They're overloaded, understaffed, tens of thousands of cases. Some fall through cracks. Anna whispered. We fell. That simple sentence, quiet, tired, hit Ethan harder than any accusation. They turned onto Maplewood Drive. The houses grew smaller, closer together. Street lights flickered. Trash cans overflowed at the corners. As the Escalade rolled to a stop, Anna tensed. That's our building, she whispered, pointing to a narrow brick apartment complex. A cluster of people stood outside, 2 paramedics, a patrol officer, and a woman crying into her hands. Anna's breath caught. Mom. Ethan parked and jumped out before the wheels fully settled. Stay in the car, he told Anna firmly. She nodded but didn't release her seatbelt, as if afraid the world might pull her out of the vehicle. He sprinted toward the crowd. Maria right behind him. A female paramedic looked up. Sir, this is an active... The woman inside, Ethan said. Her name is Maria. What's her name? Danielle, Maria answered, reading off Anna's file. Danielle Cooper. The paramedic's expression softened. She's alive. But she's in bad shape. Possible concussion, bruised ribs. We're taking her to Street Bridges. Ethan exhaled shakily. Relief mixed with anger in his bloodstream, sharp and hot. Where's Ray Jenkins? The officer nearby answered. Gone. Neighbors said he ran when they heard the screaming. Ethan swore under his breath. Maria touched his arm. We need to get Anna to her mom, but we have to let the police do their job now. Ethan nodded, though every instinct screamed to tear the neighborhood apart until he found the man. He opened the Escalade's back door. Anna, he said softly. Your mom's alive. They're taking her to the hospital. Anna immediately lunged into his arms, clutching his coat collar. I want to go with her. Please don't let them take me away. Ethan held her tightly. He looked at the officer, who cleared his throat awkwardly. Child services is on the way, the officer said. Standard procedure. Anna stiffened in terror. No, she whispered. Please no. Ethan lifted her higher, as though trying to shield her with his own body. Officer, he said in a low, steady voice. She's not going anywhere unless it's with me. The officer hesitated. He was older, silver hair under his cap, lines carved deeply into his face. He looked at Anna's bruises, then at Ethan's expression. Something in his demeanor softened. Let's see what we can do, the officer said quietly. Ethan nodded once, grateful. As paramedics loaded Danielle onto the ambulance, Ethan felt Anna's tiny heartbeat pounding against his chest. $9. A broken phone. A child who believed he could save her. He didn't know how yet, but he knew one thing. He wouldn't fail her. Not tonight. Not ever. Anna would not loosen her grip on Ethan's coat, not even as paramedics wheeled her mother toward the ambulance. Her tiny fingers dug into the wool fabric with the desperate strength of a child who had learned too early that adults disappear. Ethan kept one hand on her back, steadying her. She was shaking violently, uncontrollably, as though every siren, every flashing light, every stranger's voice was a fresh reminder of what she'd left behind in that apartment. Easy, Ethan murmured. You're safe. I've got you. Safe. Even as he said it, he wasn't sure it was true. Not with Ray Jenkins on the run, not with child services on their way, not with the knowledge that danger still stalked this street. Maria moved quickly, speaking with officers, confirming identities, arranging the ambulance route. She worked like a well-oiled machine, precise, calm, authoritative, but Ethan saw worry flicker through her eyes each time she glanced at Anna. Neighbors peered from stairwells and windows. Some whispered, some shook their heads, but most simply stood there with the dull resignation of people who had seen this kind of violence too many times before. Anna lifted her head from Ethan's shoulder and whispered, Is she breathing? Yes, Ethan said. They said she's alive. We'll follow her to the hospital. Anna watched the paramedics lift her mother into the ambulance. Danielle's face was pale, half swollen, her hair matted with blood. Her bruises seemed to multiply under the harsh fluorescent lights. Anna whimpered. He did that. He hurt her like that. And they always let him go. Ethan ran a gentle hand down her back. Not tonight. As the ambulance doors slammed shut, an officer approached them, a tall man in his late 50s with a gray mustache and tired eyes. His uniform jacket strained slightly over a heavy Kevlar vest. "Mr. Crawford," he said, adjusting his belt. "I'm Officer Larkin. I'm handling the scene until the detectives arrive." Ethan nodded. "Tell me what you know." Neighbors heard yelling, glass breaking. "They found the woman unconscious, called 911. No sign of the suspect when we arrived." "Ray Jenkins," Maria said. "He has a record." Larkin exhaled through his nose. "Yeah. I saw the file when dispatch pulled it. Not pretty." "He'll come back," Anna whispered, voice trembling. "He always comes back." Larkin crouched beside her, slow and careful, mindful not to frighten her further. "Hey there, sweetheart. You're Anna, right?" She nodded without lifting her eyes from the pavement. "I'm not going to let him get to you or your mom again tonight," Larkin said softly. "We're going to find him." Anna's small shoulders shook. The police said that before. The officer froze for a moment, guilt flickering across his weathered face. Then he stood and looked at Ethan with an expression that seemed to say, "She's right. And it shouldn't be that way." Before Ethan could respond, another patrol car rolled up. A woman in a beige coat stepped out holding a tablet. "Child Services." Anna saw her and immediately stiffened like a trapped animal. "No," she whispered. No, don't let her take me." Ethan crouched, placing both hands on her shoulders. "Look at me. I'm here. I'm not letting anything happen to you." "But they take kids away," Anna hiccuped. "Mom said they separate families." Larkin crossed his arms. "Ma'am," he said firmly to the social worker approaching. "The child's guardian is being medically transported. This gentleman, Mr. Crawford, has temporary custody until we sort out the details." The social worker frowned. "That's not standard procedure. Neither is letting a battered 6-year-old stand ankle deep in broken glass," Larkin shot back. "Dispatch knows he's here." The sergeant approved it. She hesitated, then backed off slightly, tablet still clutched tightly to her chest. Ethan whispered, "She won't take you. I promise." Anna pressed her forehead against his chest, breathing hard. "I'm scared." "I know," Ethan said. "But we're going with your mom." Right now, they stepped toward the car, but halfway there, Anna froze. Her stare locked onto something on the sidewalk. "Anna," Ethan asked. "What is it?" She pointed a shaking hand at a shard of broken green glass, a whiskey bottle. Next to it, a cigarette butt, still faintly warm, and next to that, a small smear of blood trailing toward the alley. "He was here," Anna whispered. "Ray, he always smokes when he's angry." Ethan exchanged a look with Maria. "He couldn't have gone far," Maria murmured. Larkin nodded grimly. "We'll sweep the area." But as he spoke, a faint crash echoed from the alley, metal hitting concrete, a trash can tipping over. Anna gasped softly and hid behind Ethan. He put an arm around her as Larkin drew his flashlight and gun. "Stay back," the officer ordered. Ethan pulled Anna close, shielding her. Larkin disappeared into the shadows of the alley. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then his voice echoed out. "Just a raccoon." Anna sagged with relief, trembling with the sudden collapse of tension. "Let's get you both to the hospital," Ethan said gently. "We'll regroup there." He lifted Anna again. She clung to him instinctively and carried her to the Escalade. Maria climbed into the passenger seat, dialing the hospital to confirm Danielle's intake. As they drove, Anna leaned her cheek against Ethan's shoulder, whispering, "I didn't know where else to go. Mommy said strong people help small people. She said you were strong." Ethan swallowed. "Your mom was right." The Escalade rolled through dark Bronx streets, the flashing ambulance lights fading ahead of them. Ethan's grip on the steering wheel tightened each time Anna winced or shivered. He glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Anna, do you have any relatives?" Anyone who could help? She shook her head. Just Mommy. And your real father? Maria asked gently. Anna hesitated. He died when I was little. He gave me a phone before he went to heaven. Told me to record things when I was scared. Maria turned in her seat. Record what? Anna pressed the flip phone to her chest. Everything. Ethan's pulse kicked. How much did you record, Anna? He asked. More silence. Then, in a voice so tiny it nearly disappeared into the hum of the engine, she whispered, A lot. Ethan exchanged a look with Maria. Not just surprise. Not just shock. Hope. Hope for leverage. Hope for evidence. Hope for justice. Anna closed her eyes, resting her forehead against the window. Do you think Mommy will be okay? Ethan didn't answer immediately. He waited until the truth felt steady. Yes, he said. Because you got help in time. The city lights reflected in her wet lashes like stars. Because you were brave. Anna hugged the flip phone closer, and for the first time since he had met her, Ethan saw a flicker of something in her eyes besides fear. A flicker of belief. The hallway outside Danielle's hospital room smelled faintly of antiseptic and stale coffee. Nurses hurried past with clipboards and carts, the fluorescent lights casting long, pale reflections across the polished floor. It was later than a child should ever be awake, but Anna stayed glued to Ethan's side, refusing to sit, refusing to blink, refusing to breathe unless he was near. Danielle lay unconscious behind a glass panel, hooked up to oxygen, her cheeks swollen, her forehead stitched. Anna stood on her toes to see her better, but the fear in her eyes only deepened. Is she gonna wake up? She whispered. Yes, Ethan said gently. The doctors said she's stable. Anna didn't look reassured. She pressed both palms against the glass, watching each shallow rise of her mother's chest. They always say she'll be okay, she whispered. But she never is. Ethan crouched beside her. She's safe now. This hospital is secure. Your stepdad can't get to her here. Anna didn't look convinced. Maria approached with 2 cups of lukewarm hot chocolate. I brought something warm, she said softly. Anna shook her head. My stomach hurts. She wasn't lying. Her tiny frame trembled, the kind of shaking that came from too many hours of panic. A nurse walked by and paused. She smiled kindly at Anna. A woman in her 60s with silver hair tucked under her cap. Sweetheart, you want a blanket? Anna hesitated, then nodded once. The nurse fetched a small fleece blanket printed with cartoon bears and wrapped it around Anna's shoulders. There you go, she said gently. You're safe with us. 0. Anna looked at her for a long second, then whispered, Thank you, ma'am. The nurse's smile faltered ever so slightly. She had seen bruises like Anna's before. Too many times. While Anna watched her mother, Ethan stepped aside as his phone buzzed. Detective Hall's number flashed on the screen. Hall didn't waste time. We swept the area, but your suspect is still missing. We're checking abandoned buildings and alley routes. Guy's slippery. Find him, Ethan said quietly. We're trying, but there's something else. Hall lowered his voice. Your presence at the scene. Media might spin it wrong. Let them, Ethan said. Tonight isn't about headlines. Hall exhaled. I'll update you as soon as we have something. Ethan ended the call and turned back to Anna. She was sitting on a small bench now, wrapped in the blanket, knees pulled to her chest. She looked impossibly small, easier to break than mend. Maria sat beside her. Anna, honey, is there anything else you remember? Anything that might help the police? Anna didn't answer. Instead, she reached into the pocket of her dress and pulled out the cracked flip phone. Ethan felt the room still. He took a slow breath. Anna, is that the phone your dad gave you? She nodded. Can I see it? Another nod, but hesitant. She held the phone like a holy object, like something she wasn't sure she should give up. Dad said I should record things when I get scared, she whispered. So I did. Maria leaned forward. Record? What exactly? Anna hugged the phone tighter. Everything he did. Ethan's heartbeat stuttered. Anna, he said calmly, do you mean you recorded your stepdad hurting your mom? Her chin quivered. And me. Maria and Ethan exchanged a look, shock, horror, and possibility all tangled into one. Ethan sat beside her, lowering his voice. May I look, Anna? Only if you want me to. You're in control. She hesitated for a long moment. Then, with a trembling breath, she placed the phone in Ethan's hand. The weight of it felt heavier than its plastic frame should allow, as if every fear, every scream, every bruise was trapped inside. Ethan opened the phone. The screen flickered weakly. He navigated through the old menu. Gallery videos. 14 files. 6 months worth of dates. The first thumbnail showed a kitchen floor, a broken plate, and a man's legs. Anna, Maria whispered. You filmed all this? I hid the phone under the couch, she said. Sometimes under my pillow. Sometimes behind the cereal box. He never looked there. Ethan clicked the first video. A man's voice exploded through the speaker. Shut up, or I'll make you shut up. A crash. A scream. Something breaking. A sob. Then a tiny voice, barely audible, whispered from behind the camera. Mommy, please. Ethan slammed the phone shut, breath ragged. He stared forward, trying to calm the rage rising in him, a hot, explosive fury he hadn't felt since he was 12 years old, hiding under a bed while his father threw furniture. Maria covered her mouth, tears welling. This changes everything. Anna looked up, eyes shining with fear and hope tangled together. Did I do good? She asked quietly. Daddy said the phone would keep me safe. Ethan knelt in front of her and took both her hands gently. Anna, he said, voice thick. You did more than good. You were brave. Brave in a way no child should ever have to be. But will it make them listen this time? She whispered. Ethan squeezed her hands. Yes, because now we have proof. Now they can't ignore you. Anna's lower lip trembled. Will Ray go away forever? Ethan didn't lie. He couldn't. He will go away for a long time, he said, and he will never hurt you or your mother again. Men. Anna pressed her forehead to Ethan's knuckles, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Maria wiped her eyes. We need to bring this to the detectives right now. Ethan nodded. I'll make the call. But before he could stand, Anna tugged his sleeve. Mr. Crawford? Yes? Will you stay with me at the hospital? Ethan's chest tightened. I will. Even if they say I can't be here? He paused because he knew child services wouldn't like it. Yes, he said finally. Even then. Ugh. Anna exhaled in a small, relieved breath. Okay. She leaned against him, exhausted. And for the first time since he'd met her, she let herself close her eyes. Ethan sat still, holding her gently, staring at the flip phone resting in his hand. For years he had built an empire of numbers, contracts, and clean, controlled logic. Now, in his arms, was a child who had shattered that logic in a single night. And in his hand, the truth that could bring justice. But justice always comes at a price. Tonight, Ethan knew he was ready to pay it. The ambulance had already pulled out of the parking lot when Ethan carried Anna back to the Escalade, her head resting on his shoulder like she was too tired to hold it up. She wasn't asleep. Children like Anna didn't fall asleep easily after nights like this, but she was drifting in that thin space between exhaustion and fear, where every sound still made her body flinch. Maria opened the back door, spreading the fleece blanket across the seat. Here, sweetheart, she murmured. Let's get you warm. Anna didn't move until Ethan set her down gently. The moment her back touched the leather, she reached out instinctively, grabbing his sleeve. Don't close the door, she whispered. Ethan kept it open and crouched down beside her. I won't close it until you're ready. We're following your mom. Nothing happens to you tonight. Anna nodded faintly, her fingers slowly releasing his coat. Maria adjusted the seatbelt. We're going straight to Street Bridges. Ethan slid into the driver's seat. Normally he let someone else handle the wheel, but not tonight. Not when every second mattered. The engine hummed to life, and the car rolled out into the dimly lit street. The Bronx at night felt heavier, like the shadows carried memories of violence that refused to fade. Streetlights flickered. A lone bus rumbled down the opposite lane. Somewhere in the distance, someone was yelling. Anna shrank deeper into her blanket. Is Ray coming here? She murmured. No, Ethan said with certainty that surprised even him. He won't get close to you again. Not while I'm here. A few seconds passed before Anna whispered, "You promise?" "I do." The way she finally relaxed at that answer told Ethan just how few promises had ever been kept in her life. Maria exhaled softly, her breath fogging the window. "Detective Hall just texted. He wants us in family services as soon as Danielle is stabilized. We'll deal with that after we know she's safe," Ethan said. Maria looked at him. "You know you're already deep in this, right?" Ethan didn't glance away from the road. "I was deep in this the moment she walked into the building. Or when she asked the doorman for help," Maria murmured. "Or when I saw the bruises." "No." Silence stretched, thick and tense. The highway toward the hospital opened ahead of them. The lanes wide and mostly empty. Ethan drove faster than he should have, but slower than his instincts screamed to. He kept checking the mirror not just to watch for traffic, but to check on the small figure in the back seat. Every time he looked, Anna was watching the world outside with wide, haunted eyes. "Do you want to talk?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "Are you scared?" Another small nod. Ethan softened his voice. "You're not alone. I know what it's like to hear someone you love scream and not be able to stop it." Anna's head lifted a little. "Your daddy hurt your mommy too?" Ethan's grip on the wheel tightened. "Yes." "Did she cry?" "Yes," he whispered. "So you understand." It wasn't a question. It was recognition. Anna leaned forward, chin resting on the top of the front seat. "Did someone save you and your mommy?" Ethan paused for a long moment before answering. "No. No one came." Anna's small fingers curled over the headrest. "Then how did you get safe?" Ethan hesitated, but he owed her honesty. "My father left one night and never came back. That was the only reason." Anna sank back slowly, absorbing his words. "So people don't usually get saved." "Not usually," Ethan said. "But tonight, you did." Maria's phone chimed. She glanced at the screen, frowning. "It's Detective Hall again." They found a cigarette still burning outside the back of the apartment complex. Ray was there less than 2 minutes before the sweep. Anna tensed, clutching the blanket. Ethan's jaw locked. "That means he's still close." "Or desperate," Maria added. "Or both." Another small voice from the back. "If he's close. He knows mommy's at the hospital." Ethan turned sharply into the hospital exit, tires crunching over salt and gravel. "Not a chance," he said firmly. "Security here is better. Bright lights, cameras everywhere, officers on site." Anna wasn't convinced. "He gets angry in hospitals. Last time he broke a chair." Ethan looked at Maria, who whispered, "We need to alert their security as soon as we're inside." He nodded. The Escalade pulled into the emergency parking bay. Red lights pulsed above them, painting Anna's face in flashes of crimson. She pressed closer to the window but didn't open the door. Ethan did that for her. The cold air hit immediately, sharp enough to make her shiver violently. He wrapped the blanket tighter around her and picked her up. "I've got you," he murmured. "Don't put me down," Anna begged. "I won't." Inside, the hospital lobby hummed with activity nurses rushing. Parents whispering, an elderly man coughing into a tissue. The place smelled of disinfectant, old linoleum, and fatigue. A security guard waved them forward. "Crawford?" The paramedics radioed ahead. "Your patient is in room 214. Ethan quickened his pace, holding Anna against his chest. She tucked her head under his chin, gripping his coat tightly. As they approached the elevator, Anna asked, "Mr. Crawford, if Mommy wakes up, will she know I helped her?" "Yes," Ethan said softly. "She'll know. And will she be mad I showed you the videos?" That stopped him. "No," he said, voice firm. "She'll be proud. You were brave in a moment no child should ever have to be." "When?" Anna's eyes glistened. "Daddy used to tell me brave girls tell the truth." "Your dad was right." The elevator dinged open. On the ride up, Ethan felt Anna's heartbeat against his chest fast, frightened, fragile, but alive. And when the doors slid open, a nurse guided them down the hall toward Danielle's room. Before they reached it, Maria touched Ethan's arm. "We need to talk privately." He handed her a questioning look. It's about child services, she whispered. They followed the ambulance. They want to file emergency separation papers tonight. Ethan felt Anna's grip tighten instantly. No, she whimpered. No, no, no. He looked down at her tear-filled eyes pleading not to be abandoned. Don't let them take me, she whispered. Please. He held her closer. They won't, but he wasn't sure how he'd keep that promise. Not yet, but he knew one thing. He was going to try. And he wasn't going to lose? Not Anna. Not tonight. Not ever. The hallway outside room 214 was quiet in the way hospitals become quiet only when danger is hiding in the walls. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, washing everything in a pale blue glow. Anna clung to Ethan's collar as if the air itself might pull her from his arms. Her small heartbeat thudded in fast. Frightened bursts against his chest. Maria kept glancing over her shoulder as they moved down the hall. Her posture was tense. Her jaw tight. She wasn't usually nervous. Maria was the steady one, the voice of logic in every crisis, but tonight even she seemed shaken. Room 214, the nurse said, stopping beside a glass door. Your mother is inside, sweetheart. Anna leaned toward the window before Ethan could lower her. She pressed her hand against the glass, her breath fogging a small oval on the surface. Danielle lay still, eyes closed, bandaged, her breathing shallow. She looks cold, Anna whispered. She's warm, Ethan assured her. And she's getting the help she needs. But Anna didn't relax. She stared at her mother for a long moment, her eyes wide and shining. She didn't scream this time, Anna said quietly. Usually she screams. The simplicity of her voice made Ethan's throat tighten. Children should talk about playgrounds and birthday parties, not the volume of their mother's screams. Maria touched Ethan's arm with a subtle urgency. We need to talk. Now. Ethan nodded toward a small alcove across the hall. He didn't want to set Anna down, so he carried her with him. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Refusing to loosen her grip, Maria lowered her voice. Child Services is on this floor. They're insisting on meeting with you. When? Ethan asked. In minutes. He let out a slow breath. And they want to separate her. Yes. Maria's expression was grave. They want to place her in emergency foster care tonight. They say it's protocol. Anna stiffened instantly, her body going rigid. No, she whispered. No, no, please don't let them. I'm not going without Mommy. Ethan cupped the back of her head. I won't let anyone take you. But Anna shook her head hard, tears already gathering. You don't understand. They came once before. They said they'd come back if Mommy got hurt again. Maria inhaled sharply. When did they come? Last year, Anna whispered. Mommy was hurt real bad. They said she was unfit because she didn't leave Ray. But she couldn't leave. She didn't have money. Ethan felt a surge of anger so sharp he had to look away for a moment. He pressed a steadying kiss onto the top of Anna's head instinctively, protectively. Then a voice from behind them. Mr. Crawford? Ethan turned sharply. Two people approached, a woman in her late 40s in a beige coat, holding a tablet, and a younger man with a clipboard. Their badges read New York Child Protective Services. Anna immediately buried her face in Ethan's chest with a terrified whimper. It's them, she whispered. The woman cleared her throat. We understand this is an emotionally difficult situation, she said. But our priority is the child's safety. We need to speak with her. She is not in danger, Ethan said flatly. That's not for you to determine, the woman replied. Child Services has the legal authority to make emergency placement decisions when a guardian is incapacitated, and her mother very clearly is. Anna clung harder. Please don't let them take me. Maria stepped between them. Before anything happens, CPS needs to review evidence. The younger man frowned. Evidence? Ethan handed the cracked flip phone to Maria. Tell them. Maria opened the phone, scrolled to the videos, then turned the screen toward the social worker. Violence filled the tiny speaker, yelling, smashing, Danielle crying for help. The woman's expression faltered. These are documented incidents? Yes, Ethan said. Recorded by the child over 6 months. The social worker stepped closer to examine the screen. Her tone shifted. less certain now. This does change the nature of the case. Her mother is the victim here, Ethan said, not the perpetrator. Anna doesn't need separation. She needs protection. But procedure, Ethan cut in sharply, is what left this little girl to fend for herself while your department ignored months of abuse. You're not taking her. Anna's small hands knotted in his collar. The male CPS worker whispered something to his colleague. She hesitated, looked down at Anna, truly looked at her for the first time, and softened. Mr. Crawford, she began carefully, are you willing to stay with her through the night? In the hospital? Yes. And you have no criminal history? No pending charges? No. Any violent incidents, restraining orders, or affiliation with restricted groups? Absolutely not. Anna tugged at his coat. He's good, she said in a tiny voice. He listens. The woman nodded, typing something into her tablet. Given the evidence, the severity of the injuries, and the circumstances, she said slowly, we can allow temporary supervised care with an approved adult. Maria lifted a hand. I'm a certified foster guardian. I can take custody until her mother wakes. The social worker blinked. You are? I am, Maria said, fully licensed. The CPS worker sighed the tired sigh of someone who wanted to follow rules but also wanted to sleep at night with a clean conscience. Then the child can stay with you, she said. Tonight only. We'll review again in the morning. Anna gasped softly and hugged Ethan with all the strength in her small arms. Thank you, he whispered into her hair. The CPS workers walked away, leaving the three of them in the alcove exhausted, shaken, but safe for the moment. Anna leaned back to look at Ethan. You didn't let them take me. I won't ever let that happen, Ethan said. Her voice was a whisper. Are you going to stay with me tonight? Yes, he said. I'm not going anywhere. Anna lowered her head onto his shoulder, and for the first time that night, she let herself breathe. The waiting room outside the pediatric observation wing had that familiar hospital stillness, the kind that makes every sound feel louder than it should be. A vending machine hummed in the corner. A janitor pushed a mop bucket down the hall. Somewhere far off, a monitor beeped steadily, each tone a small reminder that someone was fighting to stay alive. Anna sat curled on Ethan's lap, wrapped tightly in her bear-printed blanket. She wasn't asleep. Her eyes were half open, following every movement, every voice, every footstep. Children who grow up in fear rarely sleep deeply, even when they're exhausted. Maria paced the length of the waiting area, her phone lighting up with messages from Detective Hall. Minutes earlier, she had stepped outside to call him, and now she returned with a grim expression. They still haven't found him, she said quietly. Anna stiffened. Ethan tightened his arms protectively around her. They will. Maria shook her head. Hall says Ray knows that neighborhood like the back of his hand. He's familiar with the alleys, the abandoned units, the shortcut tunnels. They think he's lying low, Anna whispered. He always hides after he hurts Mommy. He waits until people stop looking. Ethan's jaw flexed. They're not going to stop looking this time. But Anna shook her head slowly, the blanket slipping off one shoulder. That's what they said before. The three of them sat with that truth for a moment. It lingered like a cold draft, slipping in through cracks you couldn't seal. Maria took a seat across from them. Detective Hall wants to talk to us in the morning. CPS, too. They'll want full statements. Ethan nodded. Fine. Anna's little fingers gripped his sleeve. Do I have to talk to them? The police? Maria offered a gentle smile. Maybe just a little. Only what you remember. But you did nothing wrong. Sweetheart. Anna lowered her eyes. Last time I told a police officer something, Ray got madder. He said talking made things worse. That wasn't your fault, Ethan said softly. Anna didn't answer. She leaned her head against his chest like she was trying to disappear inside him. A nurse in navy scrubs approached, a warm smile on her face. She looked to be in her late 60s, soft gray curls escaping from beneath her cap. Laugh lines around her eyes. "Mr. Crawford? Maria?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "Any updates on Danielle?" "She's stable," the nurse said. "We're keeping her sedated to ease the pain. She'll be monitored through the night." Anna perked up. "Can I see her?" The nurse hesitated. "Not just yet, sweetheart. She needs rest. But you can see her first thing in the morning." Anna's face fell. "What if she wakes up, and I'm not there?" The nurse knelt down to meet her eye level. "We'll tell her exactly where you are. She'll know you're safe." Anna nodded but didn't look convinced. Fear clung to her like a second skin. After the nurse walked away, Maria sighed heavily. "We need to be ready for tomorrow. Child Services will want to confirm temporary placement. It won't just be tonight, they'll want at least a few days." Anna sat up straighter. "Will they let me stay with Miss Maria?" Maria smiled warmly. "Yes, I'll make sure of it. And Mr. Crawford too?" Ethan gently brushed a loose curl from Anna's forehead. "I'll be with you as much as you need me to be." Anna's eyes softened. "You make things feel safer." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "Then I'll keep doing that." Maria cleared her throat softly. Hall said something else. Ethan looked at her. "What?" He said this wasn't the first time CPS flagged the case. Ethan stiffened. "What do you mean?" Maria tapped her phone screen. There were 2 previous reports. One from a neighbor. One from the school counselor. Both described suspected abuse. Anna looked down at her blanket. Ethan's voice was controlled but edged with anger. "So why didn't they intervene?" "Backlogs, budget cuts," Maria said. "CPS is overwhelmed. They triage based on immediate threat." Anna's voice was barely audible. "I told Mommy we needed help, but she said nobody would believe us." Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, grounding himself. "Anna, you deserved better." She pressed her face into his shoulder. "Mommy tried so hard. She said we just had to survive until Ray got tired or left." "Surviving isn't living," Ethan murmured. "But sometimes that's all we could do." Her words hit him harder than she could know. Maria spoke softly. "When Hall saw the videos, he said something. Something I think you both should hear." Ethan lifted his head. "What?" Maria hesitated. "He said justice has been delayed too long in this case." Anna looked up. "Does that mean Ray will go to jail?" "Yes," Maria said. "It means the law will finally catch up to him." Anna hugged her blanket tighter. "Mommy said justice isn't fair. She said it always comes too late." Ethan lowered his forehead to Anna's, letting her take in the warmth of the contact. "Maybe your mom was right before," he said gently. "But not now, not this time." Anna studied him carefully. "You're sure?" "Yes," Ethan said, "because you were brave, and your bravery is going to change everything." Maria stood and rubbed her temples. "I'm going to talk to the night shift supervisor and see if we can get a private room near Danielle for Anna. She needs rest." Ethan nodded. "I'll stay with her." As Maria walked away, Anna curled up again against Ethan's chest, her small hands fisting his coat. "Mr. Crawford?" she whispered. "Yes? Why are you helping me?" He didn't answer immediately. The truth was complicated. Bloody, full of memories he wished he'd buried deeper, but she deserved honesty. "Because someone should have helped me when I was your age," he said softly. "And no one did." Anna's breath caught. "So you're helping me instead?" Ethan kissed the top of her head. "Yes. I'm helping you instead." The hallway lights flickered slightly, a soft hum from the vents filling the quiet. For the first time since the night began, Anna relaxed enough for sleep to tug at her eyelids. Her final whisper came out barely audible. "Then, I think my daddy sent you." Ethan froze. She drifted off against him, head resting in the crook of his neck, breathing finally evening out. And Ethan sat there holding her, knowing that for the first time in years, someone had spoken to him with pure, unwavering trust. He wouldn't betray it. Not now. Not ever. Ethan didn't sleep. Not for a second. He sat in the stiff hospital chair with Anna curled like a kitten against his chest, her tiny breaths warm against his collarbone. Every few minutes she whimpered shallow, frightened sounds from somewhere deep inside her, and Ethan smoothed her hair until she relaxed again. She wasn't resting peacefully. She was collapsing from exhaustion. There was a difference, a painful one. The pediatric wing around them had quieted. Most parents who kept vigil at night were dozing softly in half-lit rooms, heads resting against pillows or walls. Nurses moved gently, softly, using their footsteps like whispers. Even the overhead announcements had slowed to a tired crawl. But the silence didn't comfort Ethan. Silence meant Ray had time to hide, to think, to plan, and men like Ray didn't disappear, they lurked. Maria returned from speaking with the shift supervisor, holding a small folder of paperwork and a cup of burnt hospital coffee. Her hair was pulled back, her coat draped over her arm. Exhaustion had etched itself into her expression. "Good news?" Ethan murmured, mindful not to wake Anna. "As good as it gets," Maria said, lowering her voice. "They're giving us a small family waiting room 2 doors down. CPS signed off on it as long as you're with her." Anna shifted slightly in her sleep, mumbling something unintelligible. Ethan brushed a curl away from her forehead. "What's the bad news?" he asked. Maria sighed. "Detective Hall says they found more signs of Ray. Fresh cigarette butts near the alley behind the building, broken glass, footprints leading toward an industrial lot." Ethan tensed. "So he's mobile. He's also bold," Maria said grimly. "Bold and angry. The worst combination." Ethan stood slowly, adjusting Anna so she stayed asleep in his arms. "Take me to the room." Maria led the way down the quiet hallway. The walls were lined with faded murals of cartoon animals meant to cheer children. But the smiles painted on them felt hollow tonight. Ethan stepped inside the family room, lowering Anna carefully onto a small couch. She reached instantly for his coat sleeve, even in her sleep. "I'm here," he whispered. Her tiny fingers relaxed slightly. Maria set the paperwork on the table. "I need to fill this out. Basic information. But there's something else." Ethan rubbed his eyes. "What now?" A nurse overheard something. She hesitated. "According to the paramedics, Danielle woke up briefly in the ambulance." Anna made a soft, pained noise in her sleep. Ethan covered her with the blanket, then looked at Maria. "What did she say?" "That she thought Ray was going to kill her tonight. That he wasn't just drunk, he was high, completely out of control. She said she expected to die." Ethan's jaw tightened. "And Anna?" She begged them not to take Anna away. Ethan closed his eyes, pressing a hand to the bridge of his nose. "She's been living in hell." Maria nodded. "A long, long time." There was a sudden knock on the doorframe. Detective Hall stood there, tall, broad-shouldered, mid-50s, wearing the expression of a man who'd seen too many tragedies and survived too few. "Crawford," he said quietly. "We need to talk." Ethan nodded. "Let's step outside." Anna stirred, instinctively gripping his sleeve again. Ethan paused. He lowered his voice to a whisper. "I'll be right outside, sweetheart. I promise." Her grip loosened, though she didn't fully wake. Ethan followed Detective Hall into the corridor. They walked several steps away before the detective stopped, his voice dropping low. "We think Ray's planning something." Ethan's stomach clenched. "What do you mean?" "There were 2 men spotted with him earlier this evening, known drug associates. They were seen in the neighborhood asking questions." "About who?" Hall met his gaze. "About the girl. And the woman." Ethan felt something cold crawl down his spine. "So they know she's here?" Hall hesitated. "Hospitals are public places. Word travels." "Damn it," Ethan hissed. "Has security been notified?" "Already doubled," Hall said. "Officers on site, cameras monitored. But you need to understand, Ray isn't predictable. He's angry, high, cornered. And men like him mix desperation with stupidity." Ethan's hands curled into fists. "He tries anything near Anna, and—" "Crawford," Hall interrupted firmly. "I know you want to protect her, but we need you level-headed." Ethan exhaled heavily. "I am." Hall eyed him knowingly. "You remind me of myself 20 years ago, wanting to fix a broken system with my own 2 hands." Ethan looked away. "Somebody has to. Vu. And somebody will," Hall said. But legally, Ethan raised an eyebrow. Legally doesn't always protect children. Hall's expression softened with the weight of a hard truth. No, it doesn't. A nurse hurried past them, and Hall lowered his voice even more. We'll keep them safe. But I want you and Maria to be careful. He may be stupid, but stupidity plus rage, that's fire. Ethan nodded slowly. Then we don't let him get close. Hall rested a hand on Ethan's arm. Good. I'll update you if anything changes. When Ethan returned to the room, Anna was awake barely. Her eyes were half open, unfocused. Mr. Crawford? She whispered. He knelt beside her immediately. I'm right here. Anna reached for his sleeve again. I had a dream. He found us. Ethan took her hand gently. He didn't. And he won't. She let out a shaky breath. Can dreams come true? Only the good ones, he said, brushing her hair back. Mommy said bad things happen because nobody listens, Anna whispered. But you listened. Ethan swallowed hard. I'll keep listening. Anna blinked slowly, her voice softening. And you'll make him go away? Yes, Ethan said. I will. She nodded, trusting him without question, without hesitation, because when the world had proven itself cruel and indifferent, a stranger had chosen to see her. A billionaire, yes. A powerful man, yes. But in this moment, he was simply the first adult who had stayed. Go back to sleep, Ethan whispered. Anna curled up, holding his hand. And for the first time that night, Ethan allowed his heart to fully acknowledge it. He was no longer just helping a child. He was protecting her, and he would not fail her. The room was dim except for a single lamp glowing beside the couch, casting warm light over Anna's small face. She had fallen into a fragile sleep, one hand loosely gripping the blanket, the other curled near her chin. Ethan sat beside her, elbows on his knees, staring at her with a protective intensity he didn't bother to hide anymore. Maria slipped back into the room with 2 paper cups of hospital coffee. She set one beside him. You need this, she said quietly. He didn't take it. Ethan, she pressed gently. You need to stay sharp. This isn't a normal night. His eyes stayed fixed on Anna. I'm fine. Maria followed his gaze. She trusts you completely already. That's the part that scares me, Ethan admitted. That she trusts you? That I can't let her down. Maria's face softened. You won't. Before either of them could say more, Anna stirred. Her eyelids fluttered, then opened just enough to reveal glassy, frightened eyes. Is Mommy awake? She whispered. Not yet, Ethan said softly. But she's stable. Anna pushed herself up slowly, blanket slipping from her shoulders. She blinked hard. The way children do when waking from a nightmare. That's when he hurts her most, she whispered. When she can't fight back. Ethan's stomach clenched. He won't get near her again. I promise. Anna nodded, though a faint tremor ran through her small body. Then, almost shyly, she reached into the pocket of her blanket and pulled out the old flip phone again. Mr. Crawford. There's something I want to show you. He straightened, sensing the weight of her words. Are you sure? She nodded, but she wouldn't look directly at him. Daddy said, the truth protects people, even if it's scary. Maria came to sit on the floor beside Anna, voice soft. We'll be right here with you. Anna opened the phone with both hands, thumbs trembling over the keypad. She scrolled through the file's grainy thumbnails with dates beside them. Some are noisy, she said. Sometimes he broke my phone when he found it. But sometimes I hid it good. Ethan felt a tension rise in him that he hadn't felt since childhood. He forced his voice steady. Whenever you're ready. Anna clicked the first video. The tiny speaker crackled. A door slammed. A bottle shattered. A woman screamed. Ethan felt his pulse spike. Maria put a hand to her mouth. Stop crying. Ray's voice roared from the phone. I said stop. Another crash. Footsteps. Something struck the wall hard. Behind the chaos, a small, shaking whisper came through the voice of a terrified little girl hiding behind a couch. Mommy? Mommy, get up. Anna let the video play only a moment longer before she snapped the phone shut. That was the night he broke the kitchen chair, she said simply. He threw it at her head. I thought she was dead, but she woke up later. Ethan swallowed. Anna, how many of these videos did you record? 17, she whispered. Maria inhaled sharply. Anna scrolled again and opened another. This time, the camera pointed at the ceiling, wide streaks of smoke from Ray's cigarettes drifting across the frame. His voice was closer to the phone this time, slurring. You little brat, stop making noise. You're always making noise. A smack. A yelp. Anna flinched, but she kept watching. I didn't cry, she whispered. Daddy said don't show fear. Ethan gently touched her arm. You don't have to watch anymore. Anna shook her head. You need to see, so you know. She clicked the next video. This one was worse. Not because of violence, but because of silence. The camera showed Danielle curled on the floor, barely moving. Anna's tiny hand shook as she tried to lift the phone high enough to capture her mother's face. Mommy? Her little voice whispered on the recording. Mommy, wake up. Please wake up. No answer. Young Anna's breathing grew louder, quicker, more frightened until the clip abruptly ended. The real Anna wiped her eyes. That was the night I thought she died. Ethan closed his eyes for one long moment. When he opened them, a fierce, quiet resolve replaced the anger. This is enough to put him away for years, he said. Decades. Will they believe me? Anna whispered. They can't ignore this, Maria said. Not with visible injuries, not with records, not with video. Anna turned the phone over in her hands, tracing the worn scratches on its surface. Daddy said the phone would keep us safe. I didn't believe him. But maybe he was right. Maria squeezed her shoulder. Your father was a wise man. Anna looked up at Ethan. Are you mad I kept these secrets? Mad? Ethan whispered. Anna, I'm in awe of you. She tilted her head. Awe? It means, I think you're unbelievably brave. For the first time since the night began, Anna's lips curled into the faintest hint of a smile. But it didn't last long. A sudden buzz vibrated from Ethan's phone. He glanced at the screen. A message from Detective Hall. Found fresh footprints near East Exit. Think Ray was watching hospital. Lock your door. Don't move. Ethan stood instantly, heart slamming in his chest. Maria read his expression. What is it? Ethan lowered his voice to a low, deadly calm. He's nearby. Anna's face went white. Mr. Crawford, is Ray coming? Ethan knelt in front of her, gripping her shoulders firmly not to scare her, but to anchor her. No matter what happens, he said, you stay behind me, understand? Anna nodded, trembling. Maria moved toward the door and slid the lock into place. Outside in the hallway, the lights flickered once, then twice. Anna whimpered. Ethan pulled her into his arms. He won't get you, he whispered. Not while I'm here. Ugh. Then came the unmistakable sound. A loud bang somewhere down the corridor. Not a gunshot. A door, slammed open, hard, followed by the echo of fast, heavy footsteps. Coming closer. The footsteps came fast, heavy, unsteady, angry. Anna pressed herself into Ethan's chest, fingers twisting into his shirt like her life depended on the strength of that grip alone. Ethan held her tightly with one arm and motioned for Maria to stand back. Stay away from the door, he said quietly, calmly, too calmly. Maria moved behind the small hospital table, eyes wide. Ethan. The police? They're on their way, he said, but I'm not waiting for them. Another slam echoed from farther down the hall. A nurse shouted something. A crash followed. Then silence, sharp and unnatural. Anna's breathing grew shallow. It's him, she whispered. I know the way he walks. Ethan crouched beside her, tilting her chin up so she looked at him, not the door. Listen to me, Anna. You are safe. You hear me? You're safe. But, no. His voice softened. You don't have to be scared alone ever again. The footsteps returned closer now. 5 steps. Then 4. Then 3. Maria swallowed. What do we do? Let him come, Ethan murmured, standing to full height. He won't get through me. The doorknob rattled violently. Anna shrieked and buried her face against Ethan's leg. Ethan didn't move. Instead, he placed his body directly between Anna and the door. Shoulders squared, posture firm. He felt an old memory return the night he was 10, and stood in front of his mother as his father reached for her. Except this time, he wasn't helpless. A voice slurred from the other side of the door. Open. Open up. Ray. Even through the wood, the stench of alcohol and smoke was unmistakable. Maria's hand flew to her mouth. Ethan didn't flinch. You're not getting in here. Ray slammed his fist against the door, a thud so forceful the frame shook. That kid is mine. You hear me? Mine. Anna whimpered. No, no, no. Ethan moved closer to the door, speaking through the crack. She is not yours. She was never yours. Ray let out a low, animalistic growl. You think you can steal my family? You think you can hide her? I know she's in there. I saw you carry her. Ethan felt a cold, controlled fury rising in him, the kind he hadn't felt since childhood. Except now it was sharpened by the need to protect the small life trembling behind him. Maria whispered, Ethan. Police are coming, don't do anything. But Ethan wasn't afraid of Ray. He was afraid of failing Anna. Ray slammed the door again. Open this door before I tear it down. Try, Ethan said quietly. I promise you won't like what happens. Something crashed in the hallway. A chair? A cart? Ray was pacing, muttering to himself, breathing hard through his nose. Then he stopped. The floor outside creaked. Anna, Ray's voice softened, almost song, dripping with poison. Baby girl, come to Daddy. Just want to talk. Anna's entire body jolted with terror. She covered her ears. Make him stop. Please make him stop. Ethan snapped. He took 2 steps forward and struck the door with his palm so hard the sound cracked through the room. Stop talking to her, he roared. Say her name again and I swear you'll regret it. Silence. Dead, cold, heavy. Then Ray snarled. You think you can threaten me? I'll take that kid back myself. The doorknob rattled again, harder this time. The entire metal fixture trembled. Ethan planted himself in front of it, and then to everyone's shock the rattling stopped. Quiet. Too quiet. Maria covered her mouth. Where did he go? Ethan didn't breathe. He listened. A dragging sound. Something metallic scraping the wall. Then, footsteps. Moving away. Fast. Ethan pressed his ear to the door. The footsteps grew faint, then vanished. Maria whispered. Is he gone? No. Ethan shook his head. He's planning something. Right then, Ethan's phone buzzed violently. A text from Detective Hall. We're at the north entrance. Ray was spotted on level 2. Stay inside and don't move. Maria gasped. Level 2? That's 1 floor above us. Ethan picked Anna up, holding her tightly. We need to move her somewhere safer. Now. He opened the phone message again. A second text appeared urgent, all caps. He's not alone. 2 men with him. Do not let them find the girl. Maria paled. 2 men? He brought people with him? Anna clutched Ethan's collar, her breath shaking. He said his friends. Take care of problems. Ethan's heart pounded, but his mind stayed cold, clear, calculating. He turned to Maria. Do you trust me? I always have. Good. Then stay close. Don't argue, and don't fall behind. He lifted Anna higher, her arms wrapping around his neck. Mr. Crawford? She whispered. Yes? Are we gonna die? No, Ethan said, voice low and steady. We're going to live. But they're coming. And they are going to lose, Ethan said, because they picked the wrong child to hurt. He opened the door carefully, just an inch. The hallway outside was empty. Too empty. The lights flickered overhead, a sign someone had messed with the electrical panel. Maria swallowed. Ethan, this is a trap. I know, Ethan murmured. But we're going anyway, she said. Exactly. Anna pressed her face into his shoulder. I'm scared. It's okay to be scared, Ethan whispered. But you're not alone anymore. He stepped into the hallway, scanning both sides, every muscle coiled like a spring. We're heading to the nurse's station, he whispered. Bright lights, witnesses, cameras. Maria nodded. Go. I'm right behind you. Ethan took the first step, then the second, down the hall, past the shadows, toward the faint glow of the nurse's desk, when suddenly, a figure stepped out from behind a supply cart. Tall, hooded, smelling of smoke. Ethan froze. Anna gasped into his shoulder. Maria's breath caught. The figure smiled a cold, crooked smile. "Well," the man said softly, "look what we found." Ethan's body went rigid. The hallway felt too narrow, too silent, too far from help. The overhead lights flickered again, buzzing faintly. Anna clung to him, her small fingers digging into the back of his coat. Maria froze behind him, one hand instinctively reaching for her phone, then stopping, realizing any sudden motion might provoke the man standing in front of them. He wasn't Ray, but he was definitely one of Ray's friends. He was tall, thin, with a hollow look around the eyes. His jacket smelled of stale smoke and sweat. His hands were twitchy, restless hands. Addicted hands. His smile widened. "You Crawford?" Ethan didn't answer. He shifted Anna's weight slightly, keeping her tucked safely behind his shoulder. The man chuckled. "Yeah. I know who you are. Ray's been talking a lot about you. Says you've been getting in the way." Ethan's voice stayed calm, low. "Step aside." The man tilted his head. "See? I can't. Ray's upset. Says the girl belongs to him." "Ugh," Anna whimpered, burying her face deeper against Ethan's chest. "Don't listen," Ethan whispered to her. "He's lying." The man shrugged. "Ray said the kid's gonna talk. Said she's got videos. That true?" Maria inhaled sharply. The man's smile sharpened. Ethan took a slow step back, not retreating, but repositioning to shield Anna fully. "You need to move," Ethan said, "or someone's going to get hurt." The man laughed a hoarse, broken sound. "Buddy, I'm not moving. Ray wants the kid. He wants the phone. And he wants you." Then he reached into his jacket. Maria gasped. Anna's body jerked in fear. Ethan's muscles tensed, ready to lunge. But the man didn't pull out a weapon. He pulled out a cigarette. He lit it slowly, casually blowing smoke into the hallway, as if daring the fire alarms to react. "Let me make this simple," he said around the cigarette. "Hand over the girl. Ray forgives you. You don't." Footsteps thundered from behind them. "Hey," a voice boomed. Officer Larkin came sprinting down the hallway, hand on his holster. 2 security guards followed, flashlights raised. The man jolted, but instead of running, he flicked the cigarette at the floor and hissed, "Ray ain't done." Then he bolted down a side staircase. Larkin drew his weapon but didn't fire. "Crawford, back up. Get behind the desk." Maria grabbed Ethan's sleeve, ushering him toward the lit nurses' station just around the bend. Ethan held Anna tight as they rushed forward. Nurses scrambled to lock cabinets and close blinds. The air smelled like disinfectant and adrenaline. Larkin skidded to a halt beside them. "Are you all right?" Before Ethan could answer, Anna burst into tears big, gasping sobs that had been building for hours. Ethan knelt, cupping her face. Hey, look at me," he whispered. "You're okay." Anna shook her head violently. "He was going to take me. He said Ray wants me." Ethan pulled her into a protective embrace. "He won't touch you. Ever." Larkin pressed a hand to his radio. "Dispatch. Level 4 lockdown on pediatric wing. I repeat, lockdown now." A metallic clunk echoed through the hall as doors automatically sealed. Maria collapsed into a chair, shaking. There were 2 men with Ray. "If this one was here, Ray is somewhere nearby," Larkin finished. Anna clung to Ethan, breath hitching. "He's coming for me." "I know he is." Ethan stroked her back, steadying her. "If he shows up, he'll have to go through me first." Larkin looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and warning. "Crawford, this is becoming dangerous. You're not armed." "I don't need to be armed," Ethan said, low and unwavering. "I need to protect her." Maria pressed a tissue into Anna's hand. "Sweetheart, you were so brave." Anna sobbed harder. "I don't want to be brave anymore. I want this to stop." Ethan felt something inside him splinter, something old, buried, wounded, but he pushed it aside. "Listen to me," he said softly, lifting her chin with one finger. "This ends tonight, I promise." But Larkin overheard, his expression tight. "We're trying, Crawford." But Ray's unpredictable. He's desperate. And desperate men, they make bad choices. Ethan stood slowly. "What's our plan?" he asked. Larkin sighed. "We wait for backup and hold this floor. Cameras will show his location. The instant he's spotted, officers will intercept." Ethan nodded, though something about that plan felt too reactive, too passive. Someone like Ray didn't wait to be caught. He hunted. Anna sniffled and pressed her forehead against Ethan's shoulder again. "Don't let go." "I won't," he said. Maria touched Larkin's arm. "What should we do in the meantime?" "Stay put. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone." Hours seemed to pass in minutes. Officers patrolled. Nurses whispered. Security guards scanned the cameras. But Ray didn't appear. He was somewhere, waiting, watching, and Anna trembled with every passing second. At one point she whispered, "Do bad people always win?" Ethan leaned down until he was eye level with her. "No," he said, voice quiet but unwavering. "Not as long as good people refuse to run." Anna held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. But her small hand refused to let go of his. Near dawn, as the hallway lights dimmed into night mode, a security guard jogged up. "Detective Hall just called in," he said breathlessly. Cameras caught movement on the basement level. Maria stiffened. "Ray?" The guard nodded grimly. "He's in the building." Anna's breath caught. "He's here?" Ethan lifted her gently, settling her against his chest. "Yes," he said, his voice turning quiet and dangerous. "But so am I." The announcement hit the pediatric wing like a gust of cold wind. "He's in the building." "And Gree." The words echoed down the hallway, sinking into every wall, every light fixture, every breath. Nurses stiffened. A security guard muttered a curse under his breath. Even the hum of the vending machine seemed to falter. But Anna reacted the fastest. She buried herself deeper in Ethan's chest, trembling so hard he felt it in his own bones. "Don't let him hurt Mommy," she whispered. "Please don't let him hurt me." "You're safe," Ethan said immediately, tightening his grip. "I said I'd protect you. I meant it." Maria stepped closer. "Ethan, we need to stay put." Larkin said. "I don't care what Larkin said," Ethan cut in sharply. "If Ray is in this building, he's not here to walk away." Maria didn't argue. She just looked at him with a quiet understanding that came from years of watching him lead, fight, and never back down. Anna clutched his shirt tighter. "Is he coming here?" Ethan shook his head. "Not if we move first." Maria's eyes widened. "Move, Ethan? We're not staying on an open floor with one locked door and terrified patients. If he's in the basement, we get above him. To a safer level. A secure floor." Maria looked at Anna small, shaking, exhausted. "You want to move her now?" "Yes," Ethan said firmly. "We're not cornered rats." Larkin hurried toward them, out of breath. "Crawford, listen. Ray Jenkins is confirmed on the basement cameras. We've got officers moving in from both stairwells." Good," Ethan said, "but this floor is still open. We've sealed the doors." "That door wouldn't stop a determined man for more than 10 seconds, Ethan shot back. "You saw what his friend tried." Larkin grimaced. That much was true. The older officer looked at Anna, her face buried in Ethan's coat, fingers trembling, and made his decision. "All right," he said quietly. "We move, but carefully." Maria exhaled, relieved and terrified at the same time. Anna peeked out just enough to see Larkin. "Is Ray coming?" Larkin softened. "He won't get through us, sweetheart." Anna nodded but didn't let go of Ethan. The group moved down the hallway in a tight cluster, Ethan in front carrying Anna, Maria beside him, and Larkin behind them. Hand on his holster, scanning every corner. The hospital felt different now. Every shadow looked too long, every doorway too dark, every creak too loud. When they reached the elevator, Larkin pressed the button, but the panel flickered red. "Lockdown mode active," Maria whispered. "Damn it. We used the staff stairs," Larkin said. They headed toward the emergency stairwell. Ethan pushed the door open slowly with his foot, keeping Anna cradled against him. The staircase was dim, lit only by sparse emergency lamps. The hum of the building's power system echoed faintly, but underneath that, another sound drifted up the stairwell. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from below. Anna's breath hitched. "Mr. Crawford?" "I hear it," he whispered. Larkin cursed under his breath. "He's on the stairs." "No," Maria said suddenly, pointing up. "Look." A faint shadow moved on the landing above. 2 sets of footsteps. Above. And below. They were surrounded. Ethan shifted Anna into one arm and grabbed the railing with the other, grounding himself. Larkin drew his gun. "We go up. Now." "No," Ethan said, voice suddenly sharp. He pointed to a maintenance door halfway between levels, paint peeling. Marked staff only. Half hidden behind a mop bucket. "We go there. It leads to the mechanical wing and a secured storage corridor. No public access." Larkin blinked. "How do you know that?" "I funded this hospital's last renovation," Ethan said. "I know the layout." "No time," Maria hissed. "They're getting closer." Ethan lunged for the maintenance door. It was locked. Anna whimpered. Ethan's heart kicked into overdrive. Larkin grabbed his keychain. "I've got general access. Hope this works." He shoved a key into the lock. It didn't turn. He tried another. Behind them, the footsteps grew louder, faster, more aggressive, echoing off the concrete. Anna's fear cracked. He's coming." "Anna," Ethan murmured. "Look at me." She did, eyes wide with terror. "You're not leaving my arms," he said. "You're safe, no matter what." Larkin tried a third key. Click. The door unlocked. "Inside," he hissed. Ethan shoved it open and slipped in with Anna. Maria followed. Larkin slammed the door behind them and locked it. They found themselves in a long, narrow hallway lined with electrical panels and utility carts. The hum of machines vibrated through the floor. Anna's breathing slowed only a little. "Where are we?" "A safe place," Ethan whispered. Maria leaned close to Larkin. "How long do we have?" Before he could answer, something hit the stairwell door on the other side, a heavy thud. Then another, then a louder one. Ray's voice bellowed through the metal. "Anna!" She screamed. Ethan gathered her tightly, shielding her ears. "Don't listen. He's trying to scare you." "I'm already scared," she sobbed. "I know," Ethan said, his voice cracking for the first time. "But you're not alone. You're not alone anymore." Ray hit the door again. And again. Larkin raised his weapon. "Move her back. Now." Ethan moved quickly, taking Anna down the corridor. Maria whispered, "He found us too fast." Ethan's eyes darkened. He was watching the cameras. The truth dropped like a weight. Ray wasn't acting alone in the hospital. He had someone helping him. A staff member. A guard. Someone with access. Anna clutched Ethan's coat, shaking uncontrollably. "Mr. Crawford, I don't want to die." "You're not dying," Ethan whispered fiercely. "ID before I let him touch you." Ray banged on the door again, this time with something metal. Larkin stepped forward, weapon drawn, stance firm. "Crawford, get that child behind cover now." Ethan ducked behind a row of storage crates, Maria beside him, both shielding Anna. Ray's voice slithered through the crack under the door. "You can't hide her forever." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Watch me." The next blow dented the metal. Hard. Too hard. The door was going to give. Anna buried her face in Ethan's chest and sobbed, her small hands shaking violently. "Mr. Crawford, he's gonna get us." Ethan leaned down, pressing his forehead against hers. "No," he whispered. "He isn't." He pulled her closer, because if the door gave way, Ethan Crawford was ready to fight like a man who had everything to lose. The metal door shuddered again, louder this time, vibrating through the floor beneath them. Each blow landed like a hammer strike, echoing down the narrow maintenance corridor where Ethan crouched behind stacked supply crates with Anna clinging to him so tightly her fingers dug into his skin. Larkin braced himself several feet away, gun raised, jaw clenched hard enough to crack a tooth. "Crawford, stay low. If he breaks through, I need a clear firing line." Ethan shielded Anna's ears as she whimpered. "Close your eyes, sweetheart. Don't look at the door. But he sounds so close," Anna whispered. "He always sounds close before he hurts someone." Her voice alone could break a man. Ethan pulled her into his chest, wrapping both arms around her small frame. forming a wall of flesh and bone around her. "It's all right," he said softly. "I'm right here." Another violent crash hit the door. Metal groaned. A hinge popped. Maria backed toward them, one hand clutching her phone, fingers trembling. "Ethan, if he gets through." "He won't." Ethan cut in. "Because he's going to have to go through Larkin first. And me after." Anna sobbed softly at the threat of violence, burying her face deeper into his shirt. Larkin shouted through the door, "Ray Jenkins, this is the police. Step away from the door." Ray answered with a deranged laugh. "You don't get it, old man. That kid is mine." "No," Ethan whispered fiercely, holding Anna tighter. "She isn't." "Oh." Another thunderous blow dented the center panel, forcing the metal inward by several inches. A jagged crack split across the middle. Each hit sent dust falling from the ceiling. Ray was using something heavy, a crowbar, a fire extinguisher, or sheer adrenaline and madness. Maria swallowed hard. "We need backup now." "I called for it," Larkin barked. "They're sweeping the basement, but damn it, he doubled back. He's focusing here." Anna cried harder. "Mommy said he'd never stop until someone made him." "Well," Ethan murmured, brushing her hair back gently, "someone's about to." A final blow landed. The top hinge snapped. Ray's voice, dripping with rage, shouted through the crack. "Anna, if you don't come out, I'll make you." Ethan moved so fast that even Maria startled. He stood just enough to position himself between Ray's entry point and Anna. His eyes dark, jaw locked. "Touch her," Ethan growled, "and you won't leave this floor." The door burst open. Metal screeched as it swung inward, half detached from the frame. Larkin immediately fired a warning shot. "Police, don't move." Ray stumbled back, but not far enough for retreat to register in his scrambled mind. His clothes were dirty, his hair matted with sweat, his eyes bloodshot and wild. He looked like a man who'd clawed his way out of hell and was ready to drag someone back down with him. He held a piece of pipe in one hand. "Where is she?" he snarled. "Give me the kid." "You're not getting her," Larkin warned. "Drop the weapon." Ray ignored him. He swayed once, then locked eyes with Ethan. "You," Ray spat. "You think money makes you the boss? You think she'd choose you?" "She didn't choose either of us," Ethan said evenly. "She chose safety." Ray's face twisted with rage. "She's mine." "She's not a possession," Ethan replied. Ray lunged forward. Larkin fired another warning shot, this time hitting the floor inches from Ray's foot. The sound exploded through the corridor. Anna screamed and ducked into Ethan's chest. Maria covered her ears. The fluorescent lights above flickered violently. "Stop," Larkin shouted. "Last warning." But Ray didn't stop. He charged. Ethan reacted on instinct, moving Anna fully behind the crates before stepping into Ray's path. He didn't fight like a brawler or a street thug. He fought like a man who had prepared his whole life for the moment he'd face a monster again. Ray swung the pipe. Ethan ducked, grabbed Ray's wrist, and shoved him hard against the wall. Ray thrashed wildly, screaming, "Get off me!" Larkin rushed in and pinned Ray's arm, twisting it until the pipe clattered to the floor. The fight was vicious, fast, and brutal. Ray slammed a knee into Larkin, nearly knocking him backward. He clawed at Ethan's face. He spat. He cursed. He fought like an animal. But Ethan didn't flinch. He tightened his grip, fueled not by anger but by purpose, by a promise, by the small child whimpering behind him. At last, with one final twist, Larkin managed to shove Ray face first to the ground, cuffing him in seconds. Ray screamed, thrashing, "You can't take her from me. She's mine. She's mine." Ethan leaned down beside him, voice low and icy. "You're wrong," Ray snarled up at him. "You gonna kill me, rich man?" "No," Ethan said. "The law will." Ray spat blood at his shoe. "Law don't care. They never cared." Ethan's expression changed just slightly. "This time they do, because she recorded you." Ray froze. "What?" Ethan nodded to Maria, who held up the cracked flip phone. "Se vente en videos." Indisputable evidence. Ray's eyes widened, panic, fear, realization all crashing into him at once. "You're going away for a long time," Larkin said, hauling him to his feet. "And when you get out, there'll be eyes on you everywhere you go." Ray struggled but had lost all his fight. His voice broke. She was supposed to be mine. Oh, no, Ethan said again. She was supposed to be free. Ray was dragged out of the corridor, screaming vicious obscenities until the door muffled them. Silence settled like dust. Maria exhaled, collapsing against the wall. Dear God. Ethan turned immediately toward the crates. Anna? A small shape slowly emerged from behind them, shaking uncontrollably. Is he gone? She whispered. Ethan knelt, opening his arms. Anna ran to him, slamming into his chest, sobbing so hard her entire body trembled. Ethan held her, cradling the back of her head, whispering softly into her hair. He's gone, sweetheart. He's gone. Maria wiped tears from her eyes. It's over, Anna. Anna pressed her face into Ethan's neck. You didn't let him get me. You didn't let him. Never, Ethan said. Not once. Not ever. She cried harder, but this time. For the first time in her short life, she cried in safety. Anna didn't let go of Ethan for a long time. Even after Ray's screams had faded down the stairwell, even after Larkin radioed for backup and the pounding adrenaline began to drain from the walls, she stayed wrapped around him like her small arms were the only things tethering her to safety. Ethan didn't rush her. He held her quietly, one hand soothing the back of her head, the other wrapped protectively around her trembling shoulders. Her breath hitched in ragged waves, dampening his shirt, but he didn't mind. He didn't even feel the cold concrete under his knees or the sharp ache settling into his spine. All he felt was relief. Relief that he hadn't been too late. Relief that her nightmare had not become the kind of memory that destroys childhoods forever. Maria stood a few feet away, wiping her eyes discreetly. She wasn't the type to cry easily. Ethan had only seen her break a handful of times in the decade he'd known her. But tonight, she didn't hide it. She didn't need to. Larkin approached quietly, rubbing his shoulder from where Ray had landed a hit. EMS is on the way, he murmured. Back up too. They'll secure the floor in a few minutes. Ethan nodded but didn't look up. Thank you. Larkin gave a small, weary smile. You did good, Crawford. You kept her alive. Oh. Anna stirred at the sound of his voice, pulling back just enough to look up at Ethan's face. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying, her cheeks blotchy, her hair sticking to her forehead. Mr. Crawford? She whispered. Yes, sweetheart? Is it really over? Ethan brushed a tear from her cheek. Yes, Ray can't hurt you anymore, but he always comes back. Anna whispered, shaking. Every time someone takes him away, he comes back. Not this time, Larkin said gently. Not with what we have on him. The videos, the assault, the break-in. He's finished. Anna looked between Larkin and Ethan, searching their faces for any sign of uncertainty. She found none. Slowly, carefully, she uncurled her fingers from Ethan's coat. Her body was still trembling, but something in her expression shifted a small, fragile seed of belief. Can I see Mommy? She asked. Ethan tucked a curl behind her ear. As soon as the doctors say it's okay, she's safe too. Ray never got near her. Anna let out a breath she'd been holding for hours. Maria stepped forward. Anna, honey, you were incredibly brave. Anna looked down. I didn't do anything. You did everything. Ethan corrected softly. You ran for help. You told the truth. You kept your mom alive. And you kept yourself alive, Maria added. Her voice wavered. That takes strength most adults don't have. Oh, Anna blinked at that, as if trying to understand how strength could look like fear and tears and shaking hands. Larkin cleared his throat. We should move upstairs. This area needs to be processed. He looked at Ethan. I'll escort you to the pediatric wing. CPS will want to check in too. Anna tensed immediately at those letters. Ethan felt it. He crouched lower, eye level with her. No one is taking you away. You're staying with Maria tonight, and I'll be right there too. Okay? Anna bit her lip. Promise? Ethan rested his forehead lightly against hers. Promise. She nodded, just barely, but it was enough. Maria offered her hand gently. Anna. Sweetheart. Do you think you can walk? Anna considered it. Then she reached her hand not to Maria, but back to Ethan. "I want him," she whispered. Ethan's throat tightened. He lifted her easily, settling her against his chest. She wrapped her arms around his neck as if she belonged nowhere else. They began the slow walk back through the maintenance hallway. The further they went, the louder the hospital became, officers running, nurses regrouping, security radios crackling with clipped updates. Doors that had seemed abandoned an hour ago were now flung open, revealing nervous staff members peeking out. People parted instinctively as they passed, their eyes widening when they saw the bruised little girl in Ethan's arms. They didn't need explanations. The fear and relief in Anna's eyes told the story without a single word. They reached the pediatric wing. A nurse gasped softly when she saw Anna and rushed to unlock the secured room Maria had arranged earlier. Larkin lingered at the doorway. "I'll check in once Ray is processed," he said. "You all, get some rest." Ethan shook his hand firmly. "Thank you." Larkin nodded at Anna. "You're a tough one." Anna didn't speak, but she pressed her face into Ethan's neck again. The door closed behind them. Silence returned. Maria flicked on a soft lamp, casting the small room in a warm glow. "There's a couch, blankets, pillows. It's not much, but it's perfect," Ethan said. Anna lifted her head just slightly. "Can I stay here?" "Yes," Ethan said softly. "You're safe here." Maria stepped away to speak with the nurse. Ethan lowered himself onto the couch, settling Anna on his lap. Her body relaxed against his, exhaustion finally overtaking fear. Her eyelids drooped. "Mr. Crawford?" she whispered. "Yes, sweetheart? Did Daddy send you? For real?" Ethan froze, breath catching. Anna lifted one small hand and placed it over his heart. "Because I prayed," she whispered. "And then you came." Emotion hit him so hard he had to close his eyes. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and unsteady. "Then I'm glad I listened." Anna rested her head on his chest. And this time she didn't cry. Not out of fear, but out of safety, out of relief. And Ethan held her one arm around her shoulders, one hand stroking her hair, knowing that for the first time in this child's life, she was sleeping in the arms of someone who would never let harm reach her again. The soft morning light crept into the pediatric waiting room through a narrow window, coloring the walls in muted shades of gold and gray. The hospital had gone quiet again, the kind of quiet that came after chaos, when everyone was too tired to speak above a whisper. Ethan sat on the couch exactly as he had a few hours earlier. Anna curled against his chest like a small bird resting after a storm. She hadn't moved all night except to burrow closer, nestled into the warmth of his coat. She slept with her cheek pressed over his heartbeat, as if the steady rhythm anchored her to something safe and unshakable. Maria sat in a nearby chair, exhausted but awake, drinking her third cup of weak hospital coffee. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and she watched the pair on the couch with something close to awe. "You know," she murmured softly, "I've never seen you like this." "Like what?" Ethan whispered back. "Like a father." Ethan's throat tightened, but he didn't look away from the girl sleeping on him. "I'm not trying to replace anyone. I didn't say you were. I said you're acting like a father." Maria paused. And maybe she needed one more than she realized. Ethan didn't answer, not because he disagreed, but because the truth hit a place inside him he rarely touched. A place filled with memories he avoided. Broken dishes, shouting, fists slamming into walls, his mother crying silently in the kitchen. He swallowed. "That's why I can't fail her," he finally said. "You won't." Ethan lifted a hand and brushed a curl off Anna's forehead. She stirred slightly, tightening her grip on his shirt but not waking. There was a knock on the door. A nurse poked her head inside. "Mr. Crawford?" she whispered. "Anna's mother. She's awake." Everything inside Ethan went still. Maria stood immediately. "How long?" "A few minutes," the nurse said. "She's asking for her daughter." Ethan looked down. Anna's balance of trust and exhaustion rested against him like fragile glass. He didn't want to wake her, not after everything she'd survived last night, but he also knew Danielle needed her daughter. He tightened his hold gently. "Anna," he whispered. She stirred, eyelids fluttering. "Sweetheart," he murmured softly, rubbing her back. "Your mommy's awake." Her eyes snapped open instantly. "Mommy?" she whispered, breath catching. "Yes," Ethan said. "She wants to see you." Anna pushed herself upright, blinking fast. Her face still bore the swollen marks of tears, but adrenaline now flooded her small frame. "Is she okay?" she asked. "She's still weak, but she's asking for you." Anna's hands trembled as she clung to Ethan's coat. "I want to go to her." "You will." Ethan lifted her gently into his arms as if she weighed nothing. "I'll take you." Maria opened the door, and the nurse led them through the hallway. Anna held on tightly, her heart beating so hard Ethan could feel it through her pajamas. They reached room 214. The door was half open. Inside, Danielle lay propped up on the bed, bandaged and bruised but conscious. Her eyes, large, weary, filled with pain, lifted immediately when she saw her daughter. "Anna, baby," Danielle whispered, voice breaking. Anna gasped, "Mommy." Ethan set her down carefully. Anna ran the last few feet to the bed, reaching up with trembling hands. Danielle gathered her daughter, with what little strength she had, pulling her gently into her arms. "Are you hurt?" Danielle murmured through tears. "Did he touch you? Did he get near you?" "No," Anna whispered. "Mr. Crawford kept me safe." Danielle looked up at Ethan, eyes full of raw gratitude and shame. I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. Her voice wavered. "I've failed her. I've failed her so badly." Ethan stepped closer. "You protected her the best you could with what you had. That matters." Danielle shook her head. "If she hadn't been brave enough to run, she could have died. And she could have died even sooner if you hadn't stepped between her and that man so many times." Danielle's eyes filled with tears. "I tried. God, I tried. But every time he promised he'd change, I wanted to believe it." Maria stepped forward. "You're not the only woman who's ever believed that lie." Anna tugged Danielle's sleeve gently. "Mommy, Mr. Crawford fought him. He really fought him." Danielle stiffened. "He was here? Ray was here? In this building?" Ethan nodded. "He tried to get to Anna, but he's in custody now. For good." Danielle's breath hitched a mix of relief, fear, and disbelief. She stroked Anna's cheek, brushing back her curls. "You're safe now, baby," she whispered. "He can't touch us anymore." Anna nodded and tucked herself against her mother, their small embrace quiet and tender. Danielle looked up at Ethan again. "Why did you help her?" she asked softly. "We're strangers." Ethan swallowed, the truth rising before he could stop it. "Because once I was her," he said. Danielle stared at him, eyes widening with understanding. Maria placed a gentle hand on Danielle's arm. "There's more you need to know." CPS reviewed the video evidence. "They're putting a protective order in place. You and Anna will be transferred to a safe housing program." Danielle's voice broke. "But how will we live? I don't have money. I don't have family. You have help now," Maria said softly. And then Danielle did something unexpected. She reached out her trembling hand to Ethan. "Thank you," she whispered, "for saving her, for saving me." Ethan took her hand gently, careful not to cause pain. "You both deserved better," he said, "and now you'll have it." Anna looked up at him, eyes quiet and certain. "Are you staying?" she asked. "Yes," Ethan said softly, "as long as you need me." Danielle exhaled, relief flooding through her. For the first time since the nightmare began, there was peace in the room. Not total, not permanent, but real, small, warm, hard-earned. It was the beginning of healing, and Ethan was staying to see it through. Morning sunlight filtered through the blinds in narrow stripes, warming the sterile white of the hospital walls. It was a softer light than last night's harsh fluorescence, a gentler reminder that the world hadn't ended, even though it had come close. Anna sat beside her mother's bed, her small hand tucked safely inside Danielle's. The machines hummed quietly, marking steady improvement rather than danger. Ethan stood near the door, speaking with a nurse, while Maria reviewed paperwork spread across a small rolling table. Every so often, Maria paused to look at the mother and child reunited, safe, and allowed herself the faintest smile. A knock came. Detective Hall stepped inside, hat in hand, eyes tired but focused. "Danielle, how are you feeling?" "Hurting," she admitted. "But alive." Hall nodded respectfully. "That's more than Ray intended." Anna scooted closer to her mother. as if the detective's words reminded her of everything they'd survived. Ethan moved instinctively nearer too, positioning himself like a silent barrier. Hall's gaze softened on Anna. "You holding up, sweetheart?" She nodded timidly. "Mr. Crawford stayed with me." Hall glanced at Ethan, something like gratitude passing between them. "Good." Then he pulled a folder from under his arm. "We need to go over some things while they're still fresh. It will help put Ray away for a long time." Danielle stiffened. "Do I have to? Now? I just got to see my baby." "We can pause if you need," Hall said gently. "But time matters in these cases." Ethan stepped forward. "I'll stay. They're not doing this alone." Danielle nodded once, grateful. Hall pulled up a chair and sat her down. "First, Danielle, did Ray ever threaten to kill you before last night?" Danielle exhaled shakily. "Many times." Did he ever threaten Anna?" Danielle's eyes filled. He said if I left him, he'd take her. Or hurt her. Or both." Anna shrank at the memory. Ethan rested a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Hall wrote quickly. "We have enough to charge him with attempted homicide, aggravated assault, child endangerment, and breaking and entering." He looked up. The videos Anna recorded strengthened everything. At that, Anna looked down at her lap. "I tried to record when he got mad. Daddy told me to. My real daddy." Hall's voice softened. "Your real daddy was smart, Anna. He helped protect you. Even from heaven." She hugged her knees. "I was scared he'd find the phone." "He didn't," Ethan said quietly. Hall flipped to another form. "Danielle, are you willing to testify when this goes to court?" Danielle hesitated. Her eyes drifted to Anna, and then to Ethan. She straightened. "Yes, I'm not running anymore." Hall nodded approvingly. "Good." A nurse knocked gently and motioned Maria into the hallway. Ethan could hear their hushed voices before Maria returned, face pale. "What is it?" Ethan asked. "It's CPS," Maria said. "They want to speak with all three of us." "Now." Anna clutched her mother's arm. No, please don't let them take me again." "No one's taking you," Ethan said immediately. Maria exhaled. "They reviewed the videos. They're reclassifying the case. They're not accusing Danielle of neglect anymore, but they still have legal steps to follow." Hall stood. "I'll be part of the meeting." Moments later, 2 CPS representatives stepped in different faces from the night before. Older, more experienced. One was an African-American woman in her 50s with kind but firm eyes. The other was a man with wire-rimmed glasses and a quiet voice. "Miss Hart," the woman said to Danielle. "Our department watched the footage from Anna's phone. We saw 6 months of documented abuse. You were a victim, both of you." Danielle's eyes filled. "We are not removing custody," the woman continued. "But until you recover and a formal safety plan is established, Anna needs a temporary guardian." Anna panicked. No, please." The woman knelt, her voice warm. "Sweetheart, you're not going to foster care." "That's not happening." Anna's breathing slowed a little. "Then, where do I go?" Maria stepped closer, placing a hand over her heart. "With me, honey. I'm your licensed emergency guardian, and I will take care of you until your mommy is ready. And I'll be there every day," Ethan added. Danielle wiped tears. "I trust them." The CPS woman nodded. "Good. Then this is settled." Anna threw her arms around her mother. Ethan stepped back, giving them space, letting them breathe in the safety they'd fought so hard to reach. Hall closed his folder. "Ray's arraignment is tomorrow. He's not getting bail. Not with what we have." "Oh." Danielle sagged with relief, and then Anna looked at Ethan, eyes shining with certainty. "Mr. Crawford?" "Yes, sweetheart. You won last night." Ethan smiled gently. "We all did." She stepped off the bed and reached for his hand. "Can I stay with you until mommy gets strong again?" Danielle nodded tearfully. "Yes, baby. You can." Ethan knelt, cupping her cheek. "I'm not going anywhere." Anna leaned into him, whispering, "Then I'm not scared anymore." It was the first time she'd said those words in her life. and Ethan silently vowed to make sure she never had to say the opposite again. For the first time in far too long, Anna slept in a real bed. Not a couch, not a floor, not an armchair in a hospital room. A real bed, soft, warm, with clean sheets that smelled faintly of lavender and detergent. The guest suite in Ethan's penthouse wasn't extravagant or intimidating. Maria had insisted on that. The room was simple, painted in soft yellow, with a small nightlight plugged into the wall and a plush teddy bear placed on the pillow. Anna rested curled on her side, one hand tucked under her cheek, her breathing steady and peaceful. Ethan stood in the doorway, not wanting to disturb her. He'd carried her up the last flight of stairs inside the private elevator because she'd fallen asleep in the car, and he hadn't wanted to wake her, not after everything she had endured. Danielle was still in the hospital, recovering under protection and surveillance. Maria had stayed behind to help her through the evening. Detective Hall had arranged for officers to guard her room. No one took chances anymore, not after Ray had broken into the building. But here, in the penthouse, the world was still for a moment. Safe, quiet, healing. Ethan gently closed the bedroom door and walked toward the expansive living room, where the city skyline glowed like a field of distant diamonds. Dawn hadn't broken yet, but the horizon showed the faintest trace of blue behind the buildings. He sat on the couch, elbows resting on his knees, finally allowing the weight of everything to settle. He had fought a dangerous man, stood between a child and death, faced echoes of his own past he had kept buried for decades. And somehow, he felt steadier than he had in years. A soft knock sounded at the door. Maria slipped inside, closing it quietly behind her. Her coat was dusted with wind, hair slightly tousled, exhaustion etched into her face. "She's asleep?" she whispered. "Finally," Ethan replied. Maria sat across from him, removing her shoes and rubbing her temples. Danielle drifted off too. She'll be sore for a while, but she's stable. Emotionally, though, she's shaken. She blames herself. She shouldn't," Ethan said firmly. "But she does," Maria sighed. "Years of abuse do that to people." Ethan nodded slowly. "I know." They sat in silence for a moment, the soft hum of the city surrounding them. Then Maria looked at him with a small, knowing smile. "You're different." "Different how?" "Less guarded," she said, "and more present." Ethan leaned back, exhaling. "She needed me." "And you needed her," Maria said simply. He didn't deny it. Maria stood and walked to the window, gazing out at the distant neon glow. "CPS will finalize the temporary placement tomorrow. They're recommending Anna stay with me longer term, until Danielle gets full clearance." "She's staying here tonight," Ethan said. Maria smiled faintly. "They approved that. Because it's me supervising." Ethan smirked. "Convenient." "You're welcome," she teased softly. His face turned serious again. "Maria, I can't let her go back to what she came from. Not ever." She won't," Maria said. "The courts won't allow it, and Danielle won't allow it either." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. "It's not just about safety. She deserves more." "More what?" "More stability, more love, more childhood." Maria smiled warmly. "You want to be part of her life?" "Yes," he said simply. "Then be part of it." He nodded, but uncertainty flickered across his features. "What if I can't protect her forever?" Maria walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Nobody can protect a child from everything, but you can give her something she's never had." "What's that?" "A world where someone shows up, every time." A small sound echoed from the hallway, a soft shuffle. Ethan stood immediately. Anna appeared, rubbing her eyes, wearing an oversized t-shirt Maria had found in the closet. She looked tiny in the doorway, her curls messy, her voice small. "Mr. Crawford?" Ethan stepped toward her. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I had a dream," she murmured. "I didn't know where you were." He knelt in front of her, brushing a tear from her cheek. "I'm right here." She wrapped her arms around his neck. "Don't leave." He lifted her easily. "I'm not going anywhere." Maria watched them with gentle, tired eyes. Anna rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. "Can I watch the sun come up with you?" Ethan smiled softly. "Of course." He carried her to the giant floor-to-ceiling windows and sat on the couch, letting her curl up beside him. Her small hand slipped into his, trusting, warm, fragile. Outside, the first streaks of gold crept over Manhattan's skyline. Anna whispered, "Mommy always said, light comes after the scary part." Ethan squeezed her tiny hand. She was right. "Mr. Crawford?" "Yes, sweetheart. Are we a family now?" Ethan inhaled softly, deeply as the morning sun spilled across the room. "Yes," he whispered, "we are." Anna closed her eyes against his shoulder, finally at peace. Maria sat quietly nearby, watching them both with a full heart. And as the sunlight grew brighter, spilling warmth through the room, Ethan realized something. Saving Anna hadn't just changed her life. It had changed his. The sun rose slowly over Manhattan, pouring warm gold across the penthouse windows. The city below stirred awake, cars starting, horns honking in the distance, life returning with its usual rhythm. But inside Ethan's home, time felt different, softer, quieter, more sacred. Anna sat curled beside him on the couch, wrapped in a blanket Maria had draped around her. Her tiny shoulder leaned into his side, and her eyes, still swollen from the night before, watched the sunrise with quiet wonder. "Is this what mornings look like from up here?" she whispered. Ethan smiled. "Yes. May, it looks safe." Safe. It was the first time she had ever used that word without fear. Maria sat at the dining table behind them, sipping coffee and filling out CPS paperwork the way only someone steady, calm, and fiercely competent could. She occasionally glanced at the pair on the couch, eyes warm not with pity, but with hope. Anna turned to Ethan. "Will Mommy get to see this too one day?" "Yes," Ethan said. "She will. And will I get to keep coming back here, or is this just for tonight?" Ethan turned toward her fully. "Anna, this home is open to you, as long as you want it." She looked down at her blanket, fingers twisting the fabric. "What if Mommy is scared again? Or what if Ray comes back?" "He won't," Ethan said firmly. "He'll be in prison for a long time." Anna hesitated. "But people lie about changing." Ethan exhaled softly. "You learned that too young." She leaned into him again, voice barely above a breath. "Mr. Crawford, can I ask something?" "Of course. Can you be here? Like, always?" The question hit him harder than any blow Ray had thrown the night before. He placed a hand gently on the back of her head. "Yes, for as long as you want me to be." Anna let out the smallest sigh of relief, so fragile it broke his heart. Maria closed her folder and approached. "Anna, sweetheart, we need to talk about today." Anna tensed. "Is CPS coming?" Maria knelt in front of her. "Yes, but it's good news. They're finalizing your temporary placement." "With me." Anna blinked. Do I still get to see Mr. Crawford?" "Every day," Maria said with a smile. "They already approved joint visitation. And once your mother is released and safe, we'll transition you both somewhere new somewhere. Ray can't find you." Anna nodded slowly. "Okay." A knock sounded at the penthouse door. Maria stood. "That's Detective Hall. I asked him to come give us updates." Ethan gently stroked Anna's hair as she rested against him. "You ready for that?" She nodded. "If you stay." "Always." Maria opened the door. Detective Hall entered, tired but smiling. "Morning," he said. "How are my heroes?" Anna gave a small wave from the couch. "Hi." Hall softened. "Hi, kiddo." He turned to Ethan. "Ray was formally charged this morning. Bail denied. With the videos, the assault, the hospital break-in, he's not seeing daylight for a very long time." Anna exhaled in relief. Danielle sent a short message through Maria's phone. "Tell Anna I love her. Tell her I'm proud," Hall continued. "CPS will be here in an hour to finalize paperwork. After that, Anna stays with Maria. And you, Ethan." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Yes?" Hall smirked. "You're basically part of the case now, and part of her life." Anna leaned into Ethan's side with a sleepy smile. "He's already part of it," Hall chuckled. "Figured as much." Maria brought out a small stack of forms. "Anna, we need your signature too. Just telling the court you agree to stay with me for now." Anna nodded, sliding off the couch with Ethan's help. She held the pen awkwardly, but her hand didn't shake as much as it had hours earlier. When she finished, she turned to Ethan. "Does this mean I'm safe now?" Ethan crouched down, so he was eye level with her. "Yes, completely. And Mommy? She's protected. And she will heal." Anna hesitated, then gently placed her small hand over Ethan's heart. Then, "I want something," she whispered. "Anything," Ethan said. She swallowed hard. "When Mommy gets better, can we all have breakfast together? Like families do?" Ethan felt emotion rise in his chest, thick, unexpected, powerful. "Yes," he said quietly. "We can." "Oh." Anna smiled, soft, shy, but real. Then she hugged him, not out of fear this time, not out of desperation, but out of trust. Maria watched silently, blinking back tears. Detective Hall cleared his throat, trying not to show emotion of his own. "I'd say that sounds like the beginning of something good." Ethan lifted Anna into his arms one last time before CPS arrived. "You're safe," he whispered. Anna rested her head on his shoulder. "And you're my safe place," she whispered back. It was the kind of sentence that rewrote a man's life. Hours later, after CPS left satisfied and the final forms were signed, Maria led Anna toward the elevator. Anna waved at Ethan from the doorway. "I'll see you tomorrow?" she asked. "You will," he said. "And the next day?" "And every day after." Anna's eyes glowed with something Ethan hadn't seen in her before. Hope. Real, lasting, grounded hope. She stepped into the elevator, Maria beside her. The doors closed gently. Ethan stood alone in the quiet penthouse. He looked around at the place that had once been filled with silence and routine, and realized something had changed forever. A new chapter had begun. Not just for Anna, not just for Danielle, but for him too. He walked to the window, looking out at the city alive with morning light. A promise had been made. A promise he intended to keep for the rest of his life. Sometimes the strongest heroes are the ones no one expects. This story reminds us that courage isn't about size or strength, it's about choosing to protect what's right, even when fear is louder than hope. Anna's bravery shows that even a small voice can expose darkness. And Ethan's actions prove that compassion can break generational cycles of pain. The lesson is simple but powerful. When someone decides to stand up for the vulnerable, justice finally has a chance to win. And in a world full of broken systems, the kindness of one determined person can change the course of another's life forever.